Going live. Here we are again for the F the Fairy Tale Challenge. We are on day 3 today, y'all. How you feeling? It's good to see you. We are simulcasting here on YouTube and Facebook and on Instagram and on X. I'm trying to evolve X, Twitter, I don't know what we're supposed to call it, but I'm so glad that you're here. Hello, Megs. Hello, Huntress. Hello, Blondie. It's great to see you all. So, as we welcome you all, into the live stream today, just wanted to let you know it's not a regular kind of casual live stream. We're doing the work today. We are talking about the F the Fairy Tale Challenge. So, if you are just popping in and this is your first time that you have been here for the challenge, then first of all, welcome. But I wanted to let you know we're doing this all week. So we started on Tuesday, we end tomorrow on Friday, and we're actually going to be doing we're doing replays all week. So if you haven't officially signed up, but you missed some of the other days, don't worry, I got you. I'll get you the replays and then also worksheets, because here, we're doing a lot in these 4 days, and I want to make sure you're able to implement what you've learned. It's easy to talk about it and to think about it, but the real change happens when we get into action. So I want to make sure that everyone that's listening today, whether you're just popping in and you're on Instagram, or whether you came through Facebook or YouTube, that you're registered so you get all those goodies. And it's free, of course. It's at damonahoffman.com/challenge. My team's behind the scenes here in the background, so they'll go ahead and pop that link. There's Scotty and Coach Yogi Marquise are here. So they're going to pop in the link, damonahoffman.com/challenge. I don't know, I can't talk today. Too much coffee. damonahoffman.com/challenge. There it is. Thank you for the hearts. And I saw earlier, Blondie, I'm so glad you love my podcast. I'm so glad. I love doing dates and mates for you. It's been 10 years that I've been doing this podcast. So I'm just really excited to share with you some new lessons today. And they are inspired by my new book, F the Fairy Tale, Rewrite the Dating Myths and Live Your Own Love Story. So in this book, which isn't out until January, but I'm going to give you like a little sneak peek today. In this book, I talk about the 4 most prevalent dating myths. I am loving all of these hearts. Thank you. I got to fan myself, y'all. Good to see you again today, Pamela. So, we're talking about these 4 dating myths that are the most prevalent in dating. Initially, when I was writing the book, y'all, I came up with, it must have been 25 different myths. And my publisher was like, let's pare it down. So we figured out the 4 most common myths that I think are keeping people stuck in love. And a lot of times these myths, they're passed down, they're learned, they're formed through our prior experiences. But I just want to remind you that they don't have to be true for you. And that's why I wrote this book. It's the subtitle, as you see, it might be backwards for you. It's Rewrite the Dating Myths and Live Your Own Love Story, because you have the power to rewrite the story for yourself at any point. I just got an email from someone today who had been through a really challenging divorce, and she was having trouble getting ready to date again. And I reminded her that you do have the opportunity to start over, whether you came from a divorce or whether you've never been married or whether marriage isn't even your goal. You are in the driver's seat and you get to create your own dating destiny. So let me tell you how it's going to work today for the challenge. I am going to talk to you about the dating myth of the day. And in the book, it's broken into 4 sections. And each dating myth that we identified, it aligns with one specific part of the dating process. So the first part is mindset. The second part is the search. The third part is the date, and that's what we're talking about today. And the fourth part is the future. And that is everything from once you've met into moving into your long-term relationship. And I just got a message from a prior client today who's in a relationship and was having a challenge. and she was like, "Demona, can you help me out? I don't know how to deal with this." And that's the thing that I love about the work that I do. It's like once you're in, once you're listening to Dates and Mates, once you're in the Dates and Mates method, you're always a part of the community, and I'm always here to help you. So you're going to meet different challenges at every phase of this process. But right now we're talking about the date. And the myth that is most prevalent associated with the date is da 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 da. Drum roll, please. That is the chemistry myth. The chemistry myth. So, the chemistry myth is the belief that you need to feel immediate sparks in order for something to work. And I have to say, I've been doing this now for over 15 years, and I see more of the chemistry myth than I've ever seen before. Because some of you who listen to Dates and Mates may have heard me say that the biggest thing that has changed since I started coaching is the speed of dating. It's gotten so fast. And it seems like there's so much pressure to make a choice, and there's so much opportunity, which I think is great. I think dating apps are great for how much they have expanded our dating pool. But at the same time, I realize that it complicates things, because when you when you have so much choice, it sometimes forces us to make quick decisions. And what do we rely on? What is our default when we're in one of those quick decision moments? Our default is to just go back to the chemistry. So as we're trying to like shortcut the road to a relationship, we're like, let's lead with chemistry, and then sometimes we're not doing any of that deeper pillar work and some of the stuff that we were talking about last uh, yesterday and the day before about having the right mindset and having the right um, having the right tools in place to search, and having the right um, apps that you're on that lead you to the people who align with your values. So I'm so glad those of you who are joining right now, Jenna and Deb and Kimmy, just want to make sure you guys know we're doing a challenge. And if you missed anything, don't worry, you can go back. You have to sign up though for the challenge to get all of the recordings at damonahoffman.com/challenge. It's totally free. And then I'll also give you the workbook. So let's talk about the chemistry myth, and then we're going to get into a little bit of a challenge. And I'll give you a little homework so that you can implement this challenge and get into action. Scotty from my team just put the link in the chat there, damonahoffman.com/challenge. Thank you. So, signs that you may be caught up in the chemistry myth. If you've ever said, "Well, we had a nice first date, but I didn't feel the spark," then you may be in the chemistry myth. And by the way, this is an interactive live stream here. So if that has ever happened to you, give me some hearts or give me an amen or something in the chat if any of these myths may sound familiar to you. Maybe you've said them, maybe you've heard somebody else say them. Hey Mo, good to see you. Thanks for joining. If you've ever said they aren't right for me, but we have such great chemistry, that's the chemistry myth. If you've ever said they're just not my type, I like them, but they're just not my type, that is the chemistry myth. If you've ever said they give me butterflies and it's amazing, those of you who listen to Dates and Mates know how I feel about butterflies, right? So butterflies, and I talk about this more in the book, butterflies are not actually a good sign. Sometimes we're in pursuit of this feeling that we've had before, but the butterflies are actually can be a warning signal. And yet we read them as a chance to lean in and as a signal that it's going well, but it actually could be a signal of something else if you get a little bit more curious and you get underneath what is really the pillars of attraction. And that initial chemistry and that spark, that's not what we're going for if you're looking for long-term compatibility. If you're just looking for a hookup, do what you're going to do. But I'm really hoping to inspire people who are looking to move into long-term relationships and really build a foundation with a partner. So let's reframe the chemistry myth a little bit. The best way to start to shift your reliance on chemistry is to focus first on communication. And I do this in many different ways in my program. I actually I work on this for almost the entire second month of the Dates and Mates method because there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting you ready to move into the date. And your prior attractions will lie to you, as I was just saying. They When you are attracted to something, a lot of times it's just because it feels familiar. But then I just have to ask you, well, if it hasn't worked out in the past and that was what was familiar to you, maybe you need to adjust what you are tuning into to shift the kind of people or the way that you show up in a relationship if you want a different outcome. So, I'll share a little story with you about my own life. But the prior days, I shared some stories about past clients, but actually today I want to tell you a story about myself. So back when I was single, I was doing a dating plan. And this is why I love doing dating plans for my clients because I really feel like, well, dating today obviously needs a plan, right? It's a little it's a little unruly, unwielding. But having that plan helps you focus on different things. And when you're focusing on different things, you can make different choices. And when you make different choices, you can get a different outcome. So I was doing a dating plan for myself called Operation Date Nice Guys. Has anybody heard this story before? Operation DNG. That's what we called it. Literally, I would say to my girlfriends, like, okay, we're doing Operation DNG. I've got a date tonight. This is the situation. But I was going out a lot, but I wasn't meeting the kind of men that I really wanted to connect with and build a long-term relationship with. So I set a date with this guy who was very charming online, and I liked his pictures and everything. And he shows up at the date and he's wearing a button-down shirt with a sweater on top of it and these like wool slacks. And literally, he looked like he walked out of a Banana Republic. Actually, I think he did just walk out of a Banana Republic. And I just took one look at him and I was like, wow, he's cute, but that's not my type. See, I'm also a victim of these dating myths too. I said, he's not my type. I got to find somebody to set him up with. And you can imagine, of course, that the end of the story, as we're writing our own dating stories, is that I ended up marrying that man. That nice guy that I first took one look at, and just at first glance, he didn't look like the tatted up, pierced, musician, you know, bad boy types that I had been falling for before. And my initial reaction, my initial attractions were tuned for something else. And because I was doing Operation DNG, I was able to slow it down. And I was able to really focus on who this person was in front of me and to focus on our communication. And it was so good. Our communication was so great. And I was so enthralled with the conversation that I was just like, this is the most interesting man I've ever met. I want this conversation to continue. And that's really what I want you to capture on a first date and a second date and a third date is that curiosity of like, how do you go deeper? How do you understand a person on a deeper level than just what they're wearing, how they present, what your initial first impression is? So that's what I want you to do today. I want you to really ask yourself, have you fallen for the chemistry myth in the past? And has it led you astray? There's many stories in the book here. There's many stories about how it led me astray. And I know it leads a lot of my clients astray, and that it takes a certain kind of focus and a certain process that you put in place to be able to shift those attractions to something that's healthier for you and that's something that aligns more with your values and your goals. So I'm going to get into more of the challenge in a minute, but I just want to welcome all the people who are just joining: Kim and Dawn and Chicago East Girly. Thank you for being here. If you're not officially signed up for the challenge, what we're doing all week this week, go ahead and check out damonahoffman.com/challenge, and then you'll get all of the recordings and the notes, the time code notes, and the workbook so you can put what you're about to learn today into action. So, I ask you now, what would happen if you focused on clear communication first instead of chemistry? How would that be different for you? Thank you, Scotty, for putting the link to the challenge in the chat. Um, I find that a lot of the discovery comes when we slow down. Some of you have heard me say on the Dates of Aids podcast, slow love, right? Slow love. And in the first phase of that, because you're like, how can I get to slow love if I'm still just on the first date, Damona? We'll get there, everybody. We'll get there. But first, just focus on slowing down our communication and like reframing the pause. Like we always say, like, oh, it was an awkward pause. Well, is it awkward? Does the pause have feelings? Or are we feeling awkward in the pause? And so we're placing that awkwardness on the pause and on the other person sitting across from us. Could we reframe that and use that pause more as not awkward but informative? Could we take our time to have more authentic communication and listen and respond authentically? It totally changes the experience. So now we're going to get into the challenge of the day. This is where we want to get into action. And I want you to think of it kind of like a little improv exercise. I do this a lot in the dates and mates method. Like we do improv exercises for communication that really teach us how to listen, how to respond, how to be more authentically in the moment on our date. Because where else do you get a chance to practice it? You practice it here with me in the challenge, and you can practice it with me in the dates and mates method. But like, you're not going to practice listening and dating skills with your friends. You're not going to practice it, with with people in your everyday life. So that's what I like to do, is to really create a space where we can build these skills. And you've probably heard me say on the show before that dating is a set of learned skills, right? And when you practice any skill, like think of a sport you wanted to get better at, or a subject in school or something at your work, what do you do to get better at something? Do you think about it? Do you sit down and you just write about it? Or do you actually do something and you put it into action? So let's put it into action rather than just reacting in a conversation, which is what most of us tend to do. I really want you to think about listening and being present and slowing down that interaction. So your challenge for today is, when you're next speaking to someone, I I want you, before you immediately react to what they say, I want you to give yourself a little countdown and give yourself time to really process what they are saying. So even if like, and look, I am like a highly caffeinated extrovert, y'all. Any other of us out here? So like, and I am married to someone who is a slow talker, not my words, but his friends. So he's a slow talker. He's a slow talker. He's a thinker. He's an introvert. I literally have to slow myself down to match his pacing and to be able to hear what he's saying so that I can respond in a mindful and authentic way. Thanks for the hearts. I see you. I see you, coffee caffeinated caffeinated extroverts out there. But this works no matter whether you're an introvert, extrovert, whether you're highly caffeinated or you're caffeine free. This really works for everyone. And even if you need to like literally think in your mind, pause, 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 or like count down 3, 2, 1. I really want you to work on this as your challenge. When you are in a conversation, you could do this with your boss, you could do this with your friends, you could do this with your mom. You can just implement that pause so that you can start to practice the art of slowing it down and getting into listening, even if you have to go 3, 2, 1 in your head. So, how does that sound? Can you do that? All right. So, that was 3 seconds. And I want to ask you, did that seem awkward to you? Because it wasn't awkward for me. I love it, Blondie. You're like counting down with me. This is amazing. It didn't feel awkward to me. I don't know. Maybe it felt awkward to you, but hopefully not, because to me, it didn't say awkward. To me, it really says present. It says contemplative. It says, I'm like here connecting with you, right? I'm leaning in and I'm listening. And I know right now we are like across the miles and across the digital platforms, but this is something that you can do in your daily life. This is a challenge that you can take on. I love it, Blondie, that you're already accepting the challenge. And then you got to do it. You got to get into it. And that's why with this challenge we're giving you all the workbooks so that the worksheets so that you can take the high level points of everything that I've been talking about today and really put it into action, because we'll talk about it here and you're like, that's a good idea, challenge accepted. Not you, Blondie. I believe you're really going to do it, but there's a lot of people listening who may be like, that sounds great, and then you get busy with your daily life and you're like, oh wait, what was that thing that Demona said to do? There was a challenge I'm supposed to be doing, and we had a challenge yesterday, and we had a challenge the day before. So I want to make it easy for you, and I give you all of those challenge resources. So make sure you're signed up for the challenge. I won't keep repeating that, but DemonaHoffman.com/challenge. That's where you'll get all the recordings for this whole week and the workbook. And I love Liana. Liana Panda is also counting down 3, 2, 1. So this is like an easy, yay. I love the smiles. I love the smiles and hearts. This is a really easy challenge to start, but you're going to find when you start doing it, it's work. It's work to kind of re to retrain your instincts to slow it down, just like I had to retrain my instincts for Operation Date Nice Guys. So that is the challenge of the day. I'm going to open it up for questions. We have, for those of you who are on the challenge, there's the submission form that you could use to get into the conversation. And you can submit your question through that form, or you can just pop it right up here in the chat, whichever platform you're on. Go ahead and pop your questions in. And then I'll begin with the questions that have been submitted previously through the form, but I'm here to help. So no question is too like weird or is too unusual. It could be any question about dating, relationships, any question about the Dates and Mates Method program, which begins on September 27th. I am here to help. So I have a question from Saniqua. She says, where can a 43-year-old successful Black woman meet a man? I am not going out to the club anymore. Literally, ha ha ha. Saniqua, I'm not going out to the club anymore, girl, either. So I understand. And the thing is, you all know I'm bullish on dating apps because I met my husband online. That's how most of my clients that have been through my programs have met their matches over the last 15 plus years that I've been doing this. And I still feel like, even though I know there's a lot of challenges with dating apps, I still feel like it's the best bang for your buck. It's the best way to expand your dating pool quickly. But that's why we're talking a little bit yesterday in day 2 about the search, because it's about dialing in to be on the right app. And I don't know, Saniqua, if you're only interested in dating Black men or if you are you're able to date race open, and that aligns with your goals and your values. But I always start first with the dating app as a place to practice, as a place to sort of dial in your search. And then we in the Dates and Mates method, we cover all of the other ways to meet someone. And there are so many ways to meet people, both online, not necessarily through dating apps, as I said yesterday, but through an online method, and also through offline methods, through referrals and introductions. So I just want to encourage you, if you're thinking about, if you're like, I don't know about dating apps, just consider doing it my way and just giving it a try, because it can really change your experience, the way that you're using the dating app. But the other thing, Saniqua, you say you're a successful Black woman. I know a lot of times, like when you have other priorities in your life's very full, it's hard to make the space for dating. You've got work, you've got family, you've got friends. There may be a lot of other things that are calling your attention right now. But if this is something that is really important to you, I really encourage you not to put it on the back burner. You've got to approach it with the same kind of focus that you do other things in your life that you are successful at. So I'll just kind of dovetail that answer into another question from that came in from Blondie. What's the best app today? And I actually touched on this a little bit in day one, but I'll talk about it again. Finding the right dating app is very personal. So we have it depends on where you are. It depends on how you like to search. It depends on what you're looking for, what your parameters are, and there are actually 4 different types of dating apps, and there's a lot of dating apps out there. So that's what I really do in the dates and mates method. I help you dial in to make sure you're on the right dating app. You have the right pictures. And we talked about that yesterday with the 3 C's and how to choose pictures that really tell your story. So make sure, Blondie, that you're signed up for, I'm not going to keep repeating it, but you're signed up for the challenge. So you can go back to day 1 and day 2. And in the challenge replay page, I have time codes too. So you can just get right into the part that you want to replay and the part you want to go a little bit deeper into. But I want to give you like a thorough answer, but I also like I don't want to oversimplify that the process of finding the right dating app is a process. And it would be irresponsible of me to just say like because I work with OkCupid, you should go to OkCupid, or because I've worked with Match in the past, like I started out their live event series. I used to do workshops for them. Match is a great app for the right person at the right place. OkCupid is a great app for the right person at the right place. You know, there are other apps, Hinge and Bumble and so many apps that people in my dates and mates method have been successful with. So it's about finding the right match for you. So let's see. Yes. And I hope I'm saying it right. Eliandri. Eliandri is like co-signing here that finding the right app is definitely a process. And yes, they all have their own character. They have different motives on different people. They have different. They operate differently. The algorithms are different. The functionality is different. So you've got to. The bottom line. I'll just say this, and this is kind of a repetition of what I said on day 1 when I got this question. You've got to find ultimately the app that you don't hate, that doesn't suck for you. And the big thing I want everyone to remember, and I didn't say this on day 1, is that I want you to be able to use an app that you enjoy using and remember that it's just the means to the end. You're only on the app as long as it takes to meet the person. And it's a connecting app. We've talked about this on Dates and Mates before too. It's an introduction app. It's just the starting point. What happens after that, that's in like all these phases that we've been talking about. And that's where some of the other myths come up. So I'd love to help you with that. Eli and Ari. Oh, that's very cute. I said it wrong, but thank you for clarifying. I love those names. Okay, so that's the scoop. If you are signed up for the challenge, you will get the digest of that. Oh, did I miss a question? Did I miss a question? Oh, Deb, good question. Okay, let me take one more question. How can we rename nice guy in more desirable terms? Okay. See, this is the problem with dating today because we have there's we attach different meanings to different words, right? So for me, the nice guy meant something. It meant not what I had been dating before. It meant someone, and I had like a whole list of attributes. And this is where we talk about the values and the goals of the person before we even meet. But someone that really was going to be relationship minded, who was going to be a clear communicator and be authentic. So I'm not saying you should do Operation Date Nice Guys. I'm saying that's what worked for me. I'm saying you need to name your dating plan. You need to write a plan that is going to work ultimately for you and what aligns with your goals and values. And that's the kind of stuff that we do in the Dates and Mates method because everyone is different and fine tuning that is different. And we've had all kinds of different relationship goals in the Dates and Mates method and all my programs before. We have we've had LGBTQ daters, we have men, we have women, we have people of all ages. And we have people also that are not necessarily looking for a long-term relationship. We have people who are looking for marriage. We have people, I had someone who was pregnant, who was looking for a partner, who was pregnant and planning to be a solo parent, but also open to the possibility of finding a partner. So we meet you where you're at and help you design the dating plan that's going to work for you. So if you're interested in that, you can find all of that info on the replay page of the challenge, or you can go to damonahoffman.com/program, and that'll tell you more. That does start on September 27th. So we're enrolling now, and there's a special running until the middle of next week. So if you're interested in that and you're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, but Damona, I need the personal support. I need to have hands-on help to design that dating plan for me, to figure out what am I even looking for? Which app should I be on? How should I design my profile? How do I show up on the date? How do I keep it going into the future? Then that's exactly what we're doing. So actually, Scotty, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, damonahoffman.com/program. And that info is also on the challenge replay page. Say that 5 times fast. All right, we'll be back again tomorrow with our final challenge day. We're going to be talking about the 4th dating myth. And that one is the one that covers the future. So I'd like to take you into the future tomorrow. We'll go back to the future, and I will see you then with more tips, more challenges, and another workbook that you can implement everything that you've learned throughout the entire week. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.